his energy, his effort.
He brings the size and length and shot blocking ability.
His ability to throw long outlets.
He just does all the dirty work.
He sacrifices so much.
He runs the court. He's going to set a lot of screens, and he loves doing all the things like that.
He brings that energy every time he steps on the court.
What's going on, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Daily. I'm your host, Sheer. I have a special video for you today. It's a reaction video to an interview that I came across in All the Smoke with Tyson Chandler, our former center, our former monster in the middle, our former defensive player of the year. So he gave a great video, and it was a lot of questions that I think were outstanding, but I think it was a lot of questions that our current rendition of the New York Knicks can use to inform them and serve as warning shots for what not to do the moment you start building success or start getting incrementally recognized, respected for the winning ways that you have in New York. A lot of lessons to be learned. So I'm excited about this opportunity to have reactions to this video, but there are a couple of things I want you to pay attention to, because Steven Jackson, there's a little bit of a sprinkle of hate in there, and I'm gonna point it out. But also, Tyson Chandler, I really, really love seeing that moment in time through his eyes, and I think you will too. So sit back, relax, go get something to drink, and check out this reaction from Sheer's Knicks Daily.
You go to the Knicks, talk about the Knicks tape. We just had Shump on, and he was talking about it. That team had a lot of talent.
I didn't even know Kmart was on it. He didn't mention Kmart yesterday. Y'all was loaded.
Yeah, y'all were a lot of team.
Who was the coach?
Team.
Woody?
Woodson.
So I got two questions though. With all that talent, why didn't it work? And the second question is, who's to blame?
Who's to blame?
I can't do that.
Like hate to me.
Go ahead and answer just the first one.
Who's to blame? That was a hell of a team, dog.
It was. We allowed the success that we had get to us.
Talk your talk, Tyson.
And we was in chill mode, like
Got complacent.
Yeah, like as if we had done something. And I remember me and Jason was just coming off of off the championship from Dallas, and then Jason came 2 years later. And then so now we're making this run, and it was like we were both trying to like, you know, speak it into existence, different part of the locker room. So Jason would take certain tasks, I would take certain tasks.
Let me stop there, because I like that. When he talked about when Jason Kidd finally joined the New York Knicks, he said we wanted to speak it into existence. You know, we were both coming from Dallas, having shared that championship, you know, that championship run. So they wanted to speak it into existence. But when he also talked about dividing the locker room, you take that side, I take this side. You know that the side that Tyson Chandler took, Amari Stoudemire, Rasheed Wallace, you know, that side, to get them boys locked in, being true bigs in the game, focused. And then you know the side that Jason Kidd took that was most important is the Carmelo Anthony side. And that's to reel him in, to give him confidence and let him know. Y'all remember that year, Carmelo Anthony didn't have to play defense. He had to play zero defense. His role on that team was to score. That's it. And rarely do you have an opportunity to put a player like Melo, one of the top scorers in the game, in a position where we tell him to do what he does the moment he steps toe on the floor when he get out of bed in the morning. Drop 40. Don't worry about hustling back. We got you. So it's interesting to hear him say that. Let's carry on.
And we were rolling. And then up until the playoffs, for some reason, we won the first series, and then we got laxed. We were supposed to, so we finished Boston. We beat Boston.
What seed were you guys going into the playoffs? I don't remember.
Damn, we were top three. Maybe Miami
was it one or two, or we were 2 or 3?
2 seed. I thought it was 2 seed.
Yeah, we were top 3. I can't remember if Miami or I don't know if India. I don't know who had the because we had home. So I think Miami might have been 1, might have been 2 or something like that. And we was whooping Miami that year. Like I mean, because Melo was like on that year. And so we played the Boston series. We had to play one more. We had to play. We should have beat them. We should have handled them, and we should have swept them. I think it was. And then we ended up having to play either 5 games or 6 games. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So if it was 6, we should have beat them in 5, and then we ended up having to go to the 6. The 6th game, Indiana Pacers had wrapped up their series. If we say we should have won 5, and then we both would have had just say 3 or 4 days of rest or whatever, and then played. We had to play an extra game. So then we finished on Friday, and then game 1 of the playoffs for the next series was on a Sunday. It was an early game. And we didn't have a shoot-around. So they canceled shoot-around, which me and Jay was like, wait, no. Like, we're going to another series. Like, we got to prepare for this team. No, we're gonna do it.
Let me stop there. Now, he talked about the schedule during that playoff run and having won, their series a little bit early and then the practices or whatever have you. But he said there was no walkthrough. There was no practice prior to the start of the next series. Now, what I could hear is many of you in Knicks Nation talk about Tom Thibodeau. Oh, he's going to burn out the knees of his players. He's going to run them ragged into the ground. This is a situation where you see 2 veteran players. Tyson Chandler's talking about, he talked to Jay Kidd and was like, yo, we need to practice. We need to go through the walkthrough. We need to be ready. We can't lose our edge. We need this momentum. We need to stay locked in. Our bodies need to be conditioned. Our minds need to be on top of everything that we need for this next round. We rest when we're finished. We don't rest when we're tired. And many of you in Knicks Nation, I hear you repeatedly talk about, the New York Knicks, they have good regular seasons, but all of Tom Thibodeau's teams wear out in the playoffs. When you hear championship teams talk about, listen, walkthroughs, practices are of the utmost importance. So who are you going to believe? Me baffles my mind when all of you continue to talk about Tom Thibodeau like that. But if you win a championship, then that style becomes the blueprint. So just pay attention. Listen to this man, Defensive Player of the Year, NBA champion.
We're going to go over that shoot-around the next morning, or during the morning of the game. So we ended up not being able to have a shoot-around. So we ended up not being able to go over our strategy.
Yeah.
So Indiana comes in and sneaks game 1.
See?
So now we behind the 8 ball. We win game 2. We go back to Indiana 1-1. They blitzed us. So we come back to New York down 3-1. We win the game in New York. So now we take it back, and then they ended the series in Indiana, and then that was that. I really honestly feel like how we got past that, I feel like we had a legitimate shot to win the chip that year.
Who came out the East that year? That was
Miami.
2012?
Yep. I want to say did Miami win Miami won it the year, because Miami won it the year after that was Miami was trying to go for the back-to-back. And I really feel like we would have beat them that year with that Knicks team. No offense to them. I feel like we had the unit for it.
How great was Melo?
All facts.
Melo was on.
Felt that.
He was like, I at that time, thought he was challenging for the best player in the league, like at that moment. Because he was doing everything. He could rebound the ball.
So Steven Jackson says, so talk to me about Melo. And Tyson Chandler's like, yeah, Melo was that guy. And he talked about, he said that season, he felt Melo was competing with LeBron James for best player in the league. And once again, it's a lot to be said when you put someone in a position to be themselves. You're not asking him, listen, being a two-way player isn't your thing. But we've built a team around your skill set. We got bigs who play defense and guard the bucket. We got some wings who play defense. All we need from you is to get buckets. And when you put him in a situation, and he hasn't been like that, he was in that situation a little bit in Denver when he first got there, and you see how he elevated to superstardom. But that run in New York, when you had these veteran-laden, although it was an old team, for that year, was magical. Let's hear him finish.
That's the ball. He was big. You see all the defense, and he was scoring crazy. He was just super locked in. And then again, we had all the pieces around it.
Notice he didn't say defense, though. See, that was the fact. And I'll stop it on there. He said, then again, we had all the pieces around him to do everything else, is what he left off. So I wanna say this. New York Knicks fans, as well as the New York Knicks, I really hope that you caught wind of this interview and that you're paying attention. Because I remember the following season after that win, after that winning season, I also remember that many of the players retired. You know, I know Jason Kidd retired after that, and nobody wants to say it, but Jason Kidd was the engine of that team. He was the one that gave Coach Woodson confidence when Mike D'Antoni left. Because I remember very early in that season, it was a play, it was a timeout. I think we had lost like a plus 10-point lead. And Woody was in the huddle, like screaming at people or whatever. And I legitimately remember the camera being on that huddle. And Woody was screaming, and Jason Kidd stepped in and like, yo, calm down. Like, what are you doing? We got this. We got this. Don't do that. And he stopped Woody in his tracks. And I peeped it. Jason Kidd pretty much was 40% of the coach that year. And that's what settled everybody in. You had a coach on the sideline and a coach on the floor. But the biggest thing is not to buy into your own hype, not to read your newspaper clippings or your online internet clippings. That's going to be key for all of us. We may have had a little bit of a stretch where during the season we're seeing our team pull off multiple 9-game winning streaks. We've seen, this season I anticipate seeing some of our players, in addition to Julius Randle, make the All-Star team. We cannot get bamboozled into believing our own hype. We haven't won anything yet, in the words of Jalen Brunson. And that's the mentality we need to keep. Because if we keep our eyes on the prize and we stay locked in and we don't settle and we be humble, then when the prize, like a Giannis, becomes available, and if we secure him, like that would be the ultimate outcome for all of the ills, all of the suffering, all of the patience, all of the ridicule that we've had publicly and privately by everyone who does not don the orange and blue, and even if you did don the orange and blue, it'll be all worthwhile. And I'm looking forward to that day. As long as we learn and never forget the past mistakes. In order to do something new, you're gonna have to be willing to do something you haven't done before. And I'm looking forward to this journey and this ride as long as we never forget. What say you, Knicks fans? You with me? Leave your comments below. Look for more videos, Knicks Daily. Shia, I'm out.